Amongst us on the north side, on Great Mama.
Purest expression being that is the universe. I knew what he told me.
I told you, religion is the true way to enlightenment, but nobody take the way. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. If people took religion seriously and actually looked inside the books, they will realize reality, right? They'll know, but nobody actually read it. They listen to everything that people tell them. Religion, I never say religion is bad. I say religion is for separation and control. It's separation from yourself. But if everybody read the books, listen, everybody trying to say right now that nobody ever seen God, and they saying that. But in the Bible, it clearly states that I have seen God face to face. But people say that's not true, right? But he told you where God was at. God was inside you. God was in the third eye, right? You create this reality. People don't understand this. When it comes with religion, the reason why they win, because they understand the powers of the energy and they're creating a reality inside of it. These are the same people that killed Jesus.
Right.
Right? That they are running around saying that he said worship. It's like the same thing.
Understand this construct. The world will tell you that matter creates consciousness, but the truth is consciousness creates matter, meaning you are the creator of your reality. Reality was not created for you. Before you had flesh, there was instruction. In order for matter to be manifested, it had to come in the form of a thought, meaning the invisible came before the visible. Before there was matter, there was intelligence. Your body wasn't just created, your mind created your body. You are not separate from the infinite intelligence. The outer world is not separate from the inner world. They are unified. That is its revelation. You are simply creation observing itself. You are creating your reality. That's why when you go somewhere new, you create a new experience. You create a new reality. Life is not just happening to you, it's happening through you. A seldom amount of people see it like this. I created my own reality.
A lot of people don't even understand that collective consciousness is a thing. Like, the more people believe in something, that's when it starts to manifest into physical reality. It's collective consciousness activating this idea. Why do you think everybody works jobs now? Because everybody believes we gotta work a job. That's why everybody gotta do it now. Why do you think everybody celebrate birthdays? Because everybody believes that birthdays are real, and now we celebrate them shits, and every year we celebrate it, we get older because we believe we're getting older. And a lot of people don't really study spirituality and quantum physics enough. When you study both of these topics together, all of this shit of the world starts to make a lot of sense. When you really have a spiritual awakening, you need to start getting into science. I'm trying to tell you, because literally science and spirituality, they damn near the same fucking thing.
And when you answered that call that the ancestors shot through your third eye, through your mind's eye, through your clairaudience, your abilities to hear and perceive, when you answered that call as a seer, you do not get to pick and choose when and what you see about people, places, or things. And a lot of the times you get the messages when you're going to sleep, trying to go to sleep anyway. And you start to see your mind's eye opening up a vision. Those who know exactly what I'm talking about know exactly what I'm talking about. You do not get the option to not see what you need to see about a person that you don't want to see it about, or you don't want to know that about them. Or you don't want to believe that because you already felt it. You don't want to know that to be true about that person, place, or thing. You do not get the option as a seer to not see.
is, because this is one of the most misunderstood concepts in manifestation. I get a lot of questions about it. I'm about to explain it to you. People here ignore the 3D, and they feel like that means ignore your circumstances, ignore your bank account, pretend like reality isn't happening, which causes people to feel like they have to spend all day fighting against what they can clearly see. And that's not healthy, and that's not comfortable, and that doesn't feel good, right? It's like an ongoing in your head. Ignoring the 3D does not mean outright ignoring reality. What it is ignoring reality's ability to define your present state and your future. Let me explain. Let me validate you real quick. Your circumstances are real. Your bank account is real. Your relationship status is real. What isn't necessarily real is the story you're telling yourself about what these circumstances mean. Each and every one of our brains establishes a conclusion about ourselves based on these things, based on your bank account, your relationship status. That is what you need to be ignoring. The conclusion that no text back means they're losing interest. The conclusion that no money in your bank account means I'm going to struggle this month. The conclusion that a good opportunity has not arrived yet, therefore I'm going to be stuck here. Understand that most people are not reacting to reality objectively. They're reacting to their interpretation of reality. And that makes the entire difference. Because those conclusions that your brain jumps to are not facts. They are what you have been wired to believe. Predictions that your brain came up with because that's its job, to predict what lies ahead of you. And that's all it is. That's all those thoughts are. Nothing more than an automatic response of the brain. People who are able to easily obtain or manifest what they want, they understand something. They don't deny certain circumstances. They refuse to let them mean anything to them. So when something unfavorable shows up in the 3D, they don't harp on it, because your assumption is always going to be challenged. The 3D is always going to challenge your assumption. Ignoring the 3D isn't about acting like things aren't happening. It's about whether or not you can look the devil in the face without flinching. Can you see your entire world showing you the opposite of what you want and still hold on to what you want? Can you sally forth, unwavered and undeterred? Do you define your circumstances, or do they define you? Can you watch your house spontaneously combust and think, that means something better is coming for me? No emotional reaction, no spiral, just witnessing it. Stop treating current circumstances as evidence of your future, because once you do, you stop feeding energy into the timeline that you're trying to leave in the first place. Much like an ex throwing a temper tantrum because you're trying to leave, this timeline is doing the exact same thing. You want to go to another one, and now it's tripping out. But I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to feed into anything you're doing. I'm leaving. Your current circumstances don't say anything about your future unless you decide it does. If you want to know,
You know what? I actually think a lot of people misunderstand what ignoring the 3D actually means. Because whenever I hear people talk about it, there's always somebody saying, so what? You're just supposed to pretend that your problems don't exist? And I'm like, no, that's definitely not what I get from it at all. Ignoring the 3D isn't about pretending that reality does not exist. It's refusing to let reality tell you who you are. There is a huge difference. I think about this all the time because life has a funny way of handing us evidence. Evidence that things aren't working, that we are stuck in something, or evidence that nothing is changing right when we want it to. And if we're not careful, we start building an identity around whatever we're experiencing at that moment. A temporary situation becomes a permanent story. You lose money, and suddenly you're telling yourself that you're bad with money, and yada, yada, yada. Something doesn't work out, and now you're wondering if you're meant to succeed at all. It's wild when you really look at it. Most of the suffering isn't coming from the circumstance itself, it's coming from the meaning that we're attaching to it. And I think that's where this conversation gets deeper than manifestation, because it's really about consciousness. It's about whether you're letting your current situation dictate your self concept. I've noticed that some of the strongest people I've ever met weren't people who had easy lives. They were people who refused to let difficult moments become their whole identity. They could look at a challenge and say, "Yeah, this is where I am right now," without turning it into "this is who I am." That, my love, is a completely different energy. And honestly, I think that's why spiritual growth can feel so uncomfortable sometimes. Because there comes a point where the version of you that's emerging no longer matches the version of reality that you've been living in. You start thinking differently, seeing differently, you even want different things. But your external world doesn't always change overnight. It almost never does. So there's this weird period where your mind is expanding, but your circumstances are still reflecting old patterns and things. And that's usually when people give up, right there at that moment, unfortunately. They look around and say, "Well, ain't nothing changing." But guess what? Something has changed. You have. And sometimes that's the first thing that changes before anything else can catch up. So, when I hear someone say ignore the 3D, I don't hear someone saying to ignore reality. I hear someone saying don't become hypnotized by it. Don't let today's circumstances convince you that tomorrow has already been decided. Because if we're being honest, none of us truly know what's possible from where we're currently standing. We've all had moments in our lives that we never saw coming, opportunities we couldn't predict, people we didn't even expect to meet in our wildest dreams, even doors that open up out of nowhere. So, why are we so quick to assume that what we're experiencing today is the entire full story? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just the chapter you're in right now, and chapters change.
The secret is to keep as much air in your body as possible. That will keep your body healthy. Chlorophyll helps keep air in your body. Chlorophyll that you get from plants, fresh fruits, vegetables. Everything that's green has chlorophyll in it. You want to get chlorophyll. It mimics the melanin crystal. Anything that mimics melanin is a free radical and helps you be healthy. And chlorophyll looks just like melanin. It is the plant's melanin. So we're going to use antioxidants. Chlorophyll is one of them. They call them vitamin A, vitamin C, the word ACE, like the ace of spades. Just think of ACE. ACE in selenium, ACE in zinc, antioxidant. And if it's vital to your system, we call it a vital mineral. Hence the word vitamin. When you take a short rest, it makes you acid. And acid eats up your nutrients. So you want to take deep rest to make your system alkaline to get more air to your cells. Breathing is the key. The more you deep breathe, the less you want to eat food. It helps control your appetites. Deep breathing does. It nourishes you. It satisfies you. It's the key to life. That's why when you were born, the first thing you wanted when you got out of there is to take a breath. Because that's the key. But we lost a lot of keys when we're trying to get them back together again. I just want everyone to be healthy. Because the only balanced state you can be in is a healthy state. And when you're not healthy, you're radical. And that's what we're talking about when we say free radicals. The free radicals irritate another cell. Whenever a cell loses an electron or gains an electron, it is radical. Those are social terms they tell lay people to get them to buy the supplements. That's all it means. And there's no way you can get energy in your system unless you lose an electron or gain an electron. So anytime you're eating food, you're a radical. The cells in your body are gaining the electrons, so therefore that makes them radicals. Radicals are not harmful any more than a chair is harmful. If you sit in this chair and you fall on your behind, you can say there's something wrong with the chair, but the chair is innocent. It's your behind that's busted. The radical is innocent in the whole situation. It is the state of your health that cause people to define radical as bad.
Okay, so when I first saw this, my first thought wasn't, is every single detail true? Sometimes people get so caught up arguing over the details that they never stop to ask why certain ideas resonate with so many people in the first place. And what I think people are really searching for is a deeper understanding of the connection between the body, nature, the mind, even consciousness. Think about it. We've been taught to look at ourselves as separate from nature. Nature is out there, we're in here. But when you really look at it, that doesn't make much sense. We're breathing air that comes from plants, we're drinking water. The water has been cycling through the planet for millions of years. The minerals in our bodies came from the earth itself. So, where exactly does nature stop and we begin? I've always found that question to be interesting because the deeper I go into spirituality, the less separate everything starts to feel. Everything is connected to everything else, literally. And maybe that's why conversations about this become so popular because I think people intuitively feel that there is a relationship there, even if we're still trying to understand it. What if the real key takeaway isn't about finding some magical health hack? What if it's about remembering that the human body is a lot more intelligent than we've been taught to believe? I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You don't consciously tell your heart to beat, you don't consciously tell your cells how to repair themselves. Yet somehow all of this is happening right now without you having to think about it. That is quite incredible when you really stop and appreciate it. And I think spirituality begins when you start becoming curious about that intelligence instead of taking it for granted. Because the truth is, most of us spend more time studying the outside world than we do studying ourselves. We know what's trending on social media. We know what the celebrities are doing. We know what's happening in politics. But ask the average person how their own mind works, how stress affects their body, how emotions influence their health, shit, or even how their environment shapes their energy. And most people have never really stopped to think about that. That's why I actually enjoy talks like this. Not because I automatically believe every claim that's being made, but because they do encourage us to start asking those bigger questions. Questions about the body, nature, consciousness, and maybe questions about how connected we really are to the world around us. And maybe that's the deeper lesson here. Maybe health isn't just about what we consume, maybe it's about what we're disconnected from nature, from stillness, even our own bodies, even the awareness that we're a part of something so much bigger than ourselves. Because the more I learn, the more I realize that life isn't just happening around us. We are participating in it. And when you start seeing yourself as a part of nature instead of separate from it, you begin looking at your body, your health, and your consciousness from a completely, totally different perspective. You know, whether you agreed with every clip in today's video or found yourself questioning some of it, I think that is actually the point. Real growth doesn't happen when somebody hands you answers. It happens when something makes you stop long enough to ask better questions. Today, we explored ideas about the connection between nature, the human body, perception, and what it really means to stop allowing the outside world dictate your inner world. Some of these ideas are symbolic, some are based on personal interpretation. Some touch on scientific concepts, while others reflect spiritual perspectives. Wherever you land on that spectrum, I think there's value in staying curious instead of becoming either blindly accepting or automatically dismissive. One thing that stood out to me is how often we give our power away without even realizing it. We let headlines tell us how to feel. We let social media decide what deserves our attention. We even let difficult circumstances convince us that's who we are. And after enough repetition, we start mistaking our current reality for our permanent identity. But those are two very different things. Your circumstances can be real without becoming the definition of who you actually are. That's what I personally take away from the idea of ignoring the 3D. It's not pretending challenges don't exist, it's refusing to let today's circumstances become tomorrow's limitations. It's choosing to respond from intention instead of reaction. The same goes for our relationship with nature. Whether we're talking about chlorophyll, spending time outside, eating more whole foods, slowing down long enough to notice the rhythms of the natural world, or simply just taking a deep breath before reacting to life in capital letters. Maybe the bigger message is that we've become disconnected from things that actually help keep us grounded. Sometimes the greatest awakening isn't discovering something mysterious. Sometimes it's remembering something simple, remembering to be present, to protect your peace, remembering that your attention is one of your greatest resources, that your beliefs influence how you interpret your experiences. That does not mean every belief becomes reality. It means the lens you choose can shape how you navigate the reality in front of you. And maybe that's where real transformation begins, not with chasing every new theory, not with convincing everyone else that you're right, but with becoming more aware of your own thoughts, habits, emotional patterns, and asking yourself, is this belief helping me become the person that I want to be? Because awareness changes things. When you're aware, you stop reacting on autopilot. When you're aware, you become more intentional. Yes, when you are aware, you start recognizing where your energy is going and where you want it to go instead. That, my love, is a powerful shift. If you've made it this far, I would like to let you know that I appreciate you for spending this time with me today. I hope this video gave you something to think about, something to possibly reflect on, or hopefully it even inspired you to look at your own life from a different perspective. If it did, let me know down in the comments. And if you're new here and these kinds of conversations speak to you, definitely consider subscribing to the collective. Around here, we're exploring consciousness, psychology, spirituality, symbolism, and the deeper questions that encourage us to see ourselves and the world with fresh eyes. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, don't let the noise of the world disconnect you from your own inner wisdom. If I have not said it before, I would like for you to know the most important thing about this video is how much I love you, love you, love you. And I will see you, yes, you, on the very, very next video.